Hi and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave and this is episode 1747B and today's date is December 21st, 2018 and the title of the episode is Anons Were Right, 16-Year Plan Stopped, Full Control, Panic. Before we start, I want to talk about privacy. It has been proven that government agencies, corporations are tracking and spying on us 24/7. Let's take a look at the latest news. Dell resets all customers' passwords after potential security breach. Corporations, governments are tracking. This holiday season, Virtual Shield is offering 35% off all VPN plans and all premium add-ons, including Protection Plus, residential access, monthly maintenance, phone support, and VIP performance plans for as low as $3 per month. And don't forget about IdentiSafe, which allows the customer the ability to block off computer microphone and camera access from any unwanted spies and hackers. So check out the link below and start protecting yourself today because we all have the right to remain private. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, everything that we talked about in the past that had to do with Syria, with Obama, with Clinton, and everything else with the Islamic State seems to be all true. Q confirmed it today. And we can see that Anons were right once again, because there was a plan to change America. It was a 16-year-old plan that they were trying to push forward. And we'll be going over that in just a minute. But first, I wanted to start with the wall. And we can see today that a lot is going on with the House, then the Senate. And let's just start with the wall right here. Now, DHS is committed to building a wall at the southern border. They've never built a wall this high. And this wall is going to be slotted steel bars that come down. So when you look at the wall, you can see through it. And it doesn't look that bad, actually. And if you want to come to the X22Report.com site, you can see it. If you're on YouTube, you're seeing the pictures now. And you can see the difference between the two walls. The solid wall and the steel slotted wall. The steel slotted wall really doesn't change that much, but you still have a wall. And you can see that there's a battle going on right now. Now, the House has approved the $5.7 billion for the wall. The bill passed the House 217 to 185 with only 8 Republicans opposed to it. Now, it's going to move to the Senate now. Now, the Senate is expected to reject the recently passed bill from the House, which could lead to a government shutdown before Christmas. Now, Trump tweeted out the following. Soon-to-be Speaker Nancy Pelosi said last week live from the Oval Office that the Republicans didn't have the votes for border security. Today, the House Republicans voted on and won 217 to 185. Nancy does not have to apologize. All I want is great border security. Now, Mark Meadows was out there and he tweeted the following. Just submitted this letter to the CAO in advance of the government funding deadline. Members of Congress shouldn't be paid when the government isn't open. If there is a shutdown, I will not be accepting any of my salary for as long as it lasts. And I agree with him. If the government shuts down, all those people in government, they should not be receiving their checks. So if they're not receiving their checks, what do you think they're going to do? Well, they're going to do everything they possibly can to get this passed. And very often what they've done before when the government shuts down, they still got paid. So they really didn't care. Actually, if the government shuts down, it's really not that big of a deal to the everyday person. They probably won't even notice anything happening. It shut down many, many times with Obama, and you saw absolutely nothing. Yes, they made it look like something was happening when they, took all the public or federal funded parks and things like that. They put up steel girders so nobody can get into it, and they really made it look like, oh, look, see, it's all being shut down. But once again, there was no reason for them to do this because those are the people's parks. We can walk through them at any time. We can do whatever we want in there, as long as we don't break the law. And once again, they're making a very big deal out of nothing. Now, if they don't receive their salary, that is a big deal to them. We see the establishment, they are melting down after the sudden resignation by Secretary of Defense James Mattis on Thursday. And there's talk of impeachment, coups, and all these people, they're just going crazy. Senator Richard Blumenthal on Mattis' resignation. This decision to resign is virtually our worst nightmare on the Armed Services Committee. Mark Warner. This is scary. Secretary Mattis has been an island of stability amidst the chaos of the Trump administration. As we've seen in the president's haphazard approach to Syria, our national defense is too important to be subjected to the president's erratic whims. Nancy Pelosi. General Mattis was a comfort to many who were concerned about the path the Trump admin would choose to take. His resignation letter is defined by statements of principles that drove him to leave the administration. All of us should be concerned at this time. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer joined Pelosi in expressing concerns about Mattis resigning. All these individuals, they don't know what to do because all their players, they're being removed one way or another. Remember, Trump has certain individuals in these positions for certain purposes. And when the time comes, either they're going to resign or they're going to get fired. And you can see it happening every single day. We see out in Afghanistan, the Taliban, they are saying they are ready for peace. They've been behind the scenes. They've been talking about the U.S. withdrawing from Afghanistan. And it looks like this might be happening. Trump looks like he might be ordering 7,000 troops to return to home. And this is a major drawdown. Now, right now, there's more than 14,000 U.S. troops in Afghanistan. And we can see that across the Middle East, troops will start to come home. What happens in the Middle East when this happens? The people of those countries, they get to take over their countries without the United States protecting the puppet regimes. Once the people decide who they want in power, then they will decide, okay, what currency are we going to use to sell our oil with? Is it going to be euros? Is it going to be ruble? Is it going to be yuan? Is it still going to be the dollar? Is it going to be gold? But they have this choice. I mean, if you go back in time, Gaddafi, Hussein, they all decided not to use the dollar. And this is why the deep state went into all these different countries to have regime change, to keep their system propped up. This was done on purpose. They already had it planned out. Now, the United States spent well over $840 billion fighting in Afghanistan. These were fake wars that had nothing to do with terrorists. This had to do with the deep state and the central bank keeping their system alive and keeping control of their deal that they made back in 1971, where all these Middle Eastern countries had to sell their oil using the Federal Reserve note. So right on schedule, you can see John Brennan. He is panicking like there's no tomorrow. You can just hear it in his voice. Well, not really in his voice, but you can hear it as he tweets out. He tweeted out the following. This is wrong-headed decision is but one example of how dangerous it is for our national security to be controlled by Mr. Trump's impulsive, self-satisfying gut. He is surrendering America's role on the world stage. Republicans who make excuses for him enable these actions. Okay, Republicans, how much longer are you going to let this farcical presidency continue at a time of such political, economic, and geostrategic turbulence, both nationally and globally? Are you waiting for a catastrophe to happen before acting? Disasters loom. Trump tweeted out the following. General Anthony Tata, author Dark Winter, I think the president is making the exact right move in Syria. All the geniuses who are protesting the withdrawal of troops from Syria are the same geniuses who cooked the books on the Islamic State intelligence and gave rise to the Islamic State. Remember, none of these wars were authorized by Congress. They only authorized the use of force to go after terrorists. Then they use this for other wars. This whole thing has been made up. And Trump is right by bringing the troops home because we do not have the right to be in most of these countries. Actually, Syria, the president of Syria, has been asking the United States to leave his country. Russia, who was invited into Syria, has been saying the United States should not be in here. Actually, none of the coalition forces should be in there. We invaded, I'm not saying we the people, the deep state invaded a sovereign country under false pretenses, saying they were going after terrorists. Well, you just can't enter a country saying we're going after terrorists. Can you imagine if Syria or Libya invaded the United States saying we were going after terrorists? Would that be okay? No. The deep state, the central bankers, they broke international law, and all the players were in on it. France, Germany, UK, Australia, you name it. Didn't say a word. Now the coalition forces are left in there, and they do not have the U.S. support. Pretty soon you're going to see them withdraw their troops. Soon you're going to see Syria will be locked down, Libya will be locked down, Lebanon will be locked down, Iraq will be locked down, and the people will make their own choices. Actually, if you look at these countries, since the deep state's been in there, life in those countries has been absolutely horrible for those people. Let's get into some of Q's posts here. Post 2630. We see Q put out a lot of information. I'm not going to read it all, and you'll get the gist of the whole thing because I'm just going to read the bottom here. Q put up a link to Fox News, and this article says the following. McCain associate shared unverified Steele dossier with BuzzFeed court filing says. Now, we went over this yesterday where there was this court case against BuzzFeed, and it turns out that McCain's associate and Paul Ryan's chief of staff all had their hands on the dossier. Q says future proves past. News unlocks. You have more than you know. Q says, and House Speaker Paul Ryan's chief of staff, John Birx, well, he's also responsible. Why did Paul Ryan announce he was retiring? He got caught red-handed. When did Paul Ryan announce he was retiring? April 11th, 2018. Very interesting. Why would the Speaker of the House retire? Well, he was caught. Age of Paul Ryan, 48. Why would he retire at 48? There'd be no reason. Sometimes reading between the lines demonstrates those complicit in treasonous, traitorous acts are no longer or soon to be in positions of power. Forced? Republicans easier to remove than Democrats? Yes, Republicans are easier to remove than Democrats. The Democrats, they're holding on to power as long as possible, and this is part of the deep state group, to sway pending action. And this is in brackets in bold, cover. Think D-class. Think Supreme Court. How many senior FBI and Department of Justice officials have been removed? Many, many. None left by choice. Nothing to see here. Nothing is being done. The biggest accurate conspiracy, fake news attacks demonstrate what? That it's not fake news. It is completely real. Now, Q told us this a year ago, that BuzzFeed's source for the Steele dossier was John McCain, and in brackets, it's no name. McCain only admitted giving the dossier to the FBI, but said he did not give it to BuzzFeed. Well, it seems that he was the source after all. So the lawsuit showed Paul Ryan received a copy of the dossier before it was published, and his chief of staff, Birx, distributed it. And this is why Paul Ryan stepped down or retired. Post 2631. Q gave us a link to the Atlantic, and this is a picture of Trump's Oval Office. He renovated the Oval Office. Down below it says Anons know why, Q. When you look at the office and you look at past presidents' offices, you can see what Trump has done. He's added the military flags to his office. He has more military flags in the Oval Office than any other president in history. We know because Trump supports the military like no other president, and they support him. Post 2632. There's a Twitter link, and the Twitter link says, this week, #FBI Director Wray completed his visits to all 56 FBI field offices, beginning at FBI Knoxville in 9/2017 and ending yesterday at FBI Tampa. Director Wray has had the honor of seeing the great work the men and women of the FBI are doing every day throughout the country and world. Why did Wray go to every single FBI office around the country, and why did it take 15 months to visit all of them? Was it just a routine thing that the FBI director does? No. He is preparing the FBI for what is coming, making sure that every single office is on the same page. Remember how many indictments there are, and it's in every single state. And think about this, how many arrests there are going to be. This is why Wray was out there. Post 2633. Q gave us everything from a previous post, and down below it says the following. McCain, associate, gave unverified Steele dossier to BuzzFeed court filing. Drop, December 22nd, 2017. U.S. Senator, no name, News Shop, then to BuzzFeed, News Unlocks. You have the keystone. The question is, what is the keystone? So it looks like Q is trying to tell us we have the keystone. We have the information. Let's go back to post 269. Key unlocks the door of all doors. Info. Stone, the force, strength capable of yielding the power to act on. Info. Key plus stone. Post 270. Admiral R, no such agency. WNW plus POTUS, U.S. military equals apply the keystone. Paint the picture. So, given key plus stone in previous crumb, key equals Admiral Rogers, no such agency, wizard and warlocks, stone equals POTUS and U.S. military. Apply the keystone. Together, POTUS and U.S. military are applying information and power to drain the swamp. Applying both together gives it strength. Paint the picture. Information gleaned via NSA is being used together with potential force of U.S. military via the power of the presidency to force bad actors in the U.S. government to step down, retire, not seek re-election, draining the swamp that is Washington, D.C. corrupt power structure. This part of the 80% private so as to not cause complete loss of faith in the U.S. government and institutions by the already disgusted public, as well as avoid outright chaos due to revelations about so many people in government. Undoubtedly, this is also occurring in other countries as well, though the public may never notice or make the connection. Let's move on to post 2634. And Anon put up these articles from Reuters, New York Post, The Hill, etc., saying Whitaker told he doesn't need to recuse himself from Mueller probe. And below this, Q says, no recusal, old news, Q. And we knew this. We discussed this yesterday. The ethics board completely cleared him. He's not going to be recusing himself. And Q is telling us, we already knew this. This is old news already. Post 2635 put up a link to Fox News. Democratic operatives created fake Russian bots designed to link Kremlin to Roy Moore in Alabama race. Now, this is what the article says. Democratic operatives, backed by a liberal billionaire and facilitated by a former Obama official, created thousands of fake Russian accounts to give an impression the Russian government was supporting Alabama Republican Roy Moore in last year's election against now Senator Doug Jones. The secret project, which had a budget around $100,000, was carried out on Facebook and Twitter, was revealed after the New York Times obtained an internal report detailing the effort. We orchestrated an elaborate false flag operation that planted the idea that Moore campaign was amplified on social media by a Russian botnet. The internal report said it also took credit for radicalizing Democrats with a Russian bot scandal after experimenting with many of the tactics now understood to have influenced the 2016 election. So again, this was a complete false flag. They did this on their own to make it look like this. And this is what Q is saying. So Q under this says, the D, and this is in bold and brackets, party will cease to exist once it's all exposed. Fake news can no longer control, it's in kill brackets, bold, dampen public awareness of the truth, dark to light. Now, it's very interesting because Q continually uses dark to light, and Pompeo tweeted out the following, which is very interesting. And this is the tweet. As the proud people of Iran celebrate the longest night of the year and the victory of light over darkness, I wish for them prosperity and freedom. As the Persian poet Nizami said, even in hopelessness there is hope. At the end of dark night there is light. Happy Yalda. Now, this also brings to mind the winter solstice. The winter solstice, also known as midwinter, occurs when one of the Earth's poles has its maximum tilt away from the sun. It happens twice yearly, once in each hemisphere, northern and southern. For that hemisphere, the winter solstice is the day with the shortest period of daylight and longest night of the year, when the sun is at its lowest daily maximum elevation in the sky. Since prehistory, the winter solstice has been seen as a significant time of year in many cultures and has been marked by the festivals and rituals and is associated with rebirth, going from the darkest point to now light, a rebirth of the nation. Let's move on to post 2636. Q says, and this is in all caps, Alice and Mad Hatter. That's it. Q. So now we need to go back to previous post 83. Q says, simplified, Alice and Wonderland, Hillary and Saudi Arabia, references Hillary Clinton in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll, Saudi Arabia, The Bloody Wonderland. Q. Post 86. Finally, correct reference, Saudi Arabia, The Bloody Wonderland equals Alice and Wonderland signatures. Study important. That brings us to post 2049. Q put up Saudi Arabia access closed, Epstein Island access closed, Haiti closed, North Korea closed, China, Russia, Cuba, all closed, Sudan pending, Syria now going to be closed, Yemen very close to being closed, Libya going to be closed, Somalia going to be closed. Q. Hillary Rodham Clinton equals Alice. Saudi Arabia equals Wonderland. Who are the White Rabbits? Riri drops. Have faith. Post 2322 gave us a link to the Freedom of Information Act, state.gov. Told us to look on the page 20, Assange arrest. And this is by Marty Tory, also known as the Mad Hatter. And this was a whole email, which looks like WikiLeaks got, and this was about taking down Assange. So the Mad Hatter is Marty Tory. Alice is Hillary Rodham Clinton. So what's very interesting is something new just came out. And this is about Hillary Clinton and her emails. An intelligence community inspector general, Charles McCullough III, sent a letter to senior lawmakers which has not made public as of yet. Some of the emails on Clinton's private server were reportedly even more classified than top secret. Emails that passed through Hillary Clinton's private server while she served as U.S. Secretary of State reportedly contained intelligence so sensitive that it has been marked beyond top secret. To date, I have received 2 sworn declarations from one intelligence community element. These declarations cover several dozen emails containing classified information determined by the IC element to be at the confidential, secret, and top secret SAP levels, the letter read. SAP levels refers to special access programs that are meant to safeguard information deemed more classified than even top secret. It is more sensitive of the sensitive. There is absolutely no way that one could not recognize SAP material. Intelligence is allocated to a special access program when the vulnerability of or threat to specific information is exceptional, according to Executive Order 13526, which was signed by Obama in 2009 and details how to properly handle and protect classified national security information. Clinton signed a non-disclosure contract when she got to the State Department, in which she agreed to never divulge anything marked SCI, sensitive, compartmented information, or that I know to be SCI, to anyone who is not authorized to receive it without prior authorization from the U.S. government department or agency that authorized the access. And it looks like she was doing this. And they have proof. Post 2637, Q put up Rogers departure, intel, Sessions departure, law, Kelly departure, warfare, military, Mattis departure, warfare, military. Notice a pattern. Q. Post 2638, Q put up chemical attack in Syria, public pullout of troops in Syria, history will not repeat itself this time. Q is telling us these are false flags. We're not going to repeat what the deep state did, using these false flags to go to war in these countries. Post 2639, Q put up the following, and this is coming from the Washington Post. Says the first opinion, Trump's surprise Syria pullout is a giant Christmas gift to our enemies, and this is by Max Boot. And then Q says, when previously Max Boot said the following, Trump can't do anything right. We don't need troops in Syria. So on April 19, 2018, Max Boot wrote, Trump can't do anything right. We don't need troops in Syria. On December 19, 2018, Max Boot wrote, Trump's surprise Syria pullout is a giant Christmas gift to our enemies. Which is right here? Are they just doing the opposite of what Trump is doing? Yes. Q continues. Why do people trust the fake news media? Anons can play this game all day long. Compare and contrast. Fake, fake, fake. Q. Let's move on to post 2640. Q gives us a link to Twitter, which is Hillary Clinton. She says the following in a tweet. Actions have consequences, and whether we're in Syria or not, the people who want to harm us are there and at war. Isolationism is weakness. Empowering ISIS is dangerous. Playing into Russia and Iran's hands is foolish. This president is putting our national security at grave risk. She's panicking. She knows they're going to be found out. Under this, Q continues, Hussein, ISIS, JV team. Did ISIS form on Hussein's watch? Absolutely. Did Hussein take care of business or allow them to expand? He allowed them to expand. How long did it take POTUS to eradicate and destroy ISIS? 2 years, actually a year and a half, along with Russia. The American people are waking up to the truth. Then Q gave us another link, investors.com. This is Obama's military coup purges 197 officers in 5 years. And this article goes into all the different generals and personnel that Obama let go. And this was being done on purpose to purge the military and put the people he wanted there for a specific reason. And let me continue, and this will make sense in a minute. Q says, why did Hussein attempt to destroy our military, weaken it? Because they were planning to change the country. What was the 16-year plan to destroy America? Since America and the Constitution has always stood in the way of the globalist, a plan was developed to weaken our nation and bring it under the rule of the globalist. So this is the 16-year plan. Let's take a look at it. So under Obama, and this is the 8 years that he was in office, this is the plan under him, 2008 to 2016. Install rogue operators in government, Comey, Lynch, Holder. Remove good guys from government, Valerie Jarrett Sniffer. Fund terrorism, MS-13, ISIS. And this is what they were going to do. They're going to control domestic terror. Leak classified intel, military secrets. Intel to China and Russia. Special access program sell-off, SAP on Hillary's server. Nuclearize North Korea and Iran, blind eye to nuke progress. Cut military funding. Weaken the NSA, reveal programs. That was Edward Snowden. Fund supply North Korea and Iran. Uranium One, Iran deal. Weaken command of generals. And don't ask, don't tell. Target weaken conservative base. IRS targeting, MSM blast. Stage Supreme Court. Murder Scalia. Put the people you want into that position. Kill NASA, space supremacy, EMP risk, end space shuttle program, end everything, so they can use an EMP to shut down the U.S. and start a war. Relax borders, flood illegals. Basically, bring in the voters that are going to keep the deep state in power. Now, Hillary was supposed to get elected from 2016 up to 2024. Her plan was the following: World War III, real and orchestrated, plan like World War I and II. Revise Constitution, kill rights and freedom, close U.S. military bases globally, weaken military response, population control, pocket billions, mass extinction event through war, ban sale of firearms, repeal Second Amendment, no guns, armed revolt. This way, they get rid of that. And this is what they were trying to do with the UN Arms Treaty. If the Senate would pass it, Obama was going to sign it. Destroy, censor opposing news outlets, FCC censorship. Eliminate final good guys in government. There'd be no resistance. Install corrupt Supreme Court justices. Open the borders up. Kill economy, starve and slave the public. Remove electoral college. Install popular vote, easier to control. Limit, remove military funding. Weaken the military. And this way, if you do this, guess what? The war is easily won by the other side. If the war is won by the other side, they can get rid of the Constitution because now they control the country, the people do not. This was their 16-year plan, and now it has been stopped. Let me continue with what Q is saying here. Why did Hussein install traitors at the highest level of our government? Department of Justice, FBI, CIA, National Security. Because he needed those people in those positions to push his plan forward. Why did Hussein bring people into the White House who hate America and what we stand for? It's easier to push his plan. What years did Hillary Rodham Clinton serve as Secretary of State? She served as the 67th United States Secretary of State under Obama from 2009 to 2013, overseeing the department that conducted the foreign policy of Barack Obama. What years did ISIS expand? The same years. Why did Hussein put restrictions on U.S. military command, ability to attack targets at will? White House directed the targets in Syria. And we talked about this years back because they wanted the Islamic State to expand their territory. They wanted to get Assad out of power. That was the paid mercenary army. It has just been confirmed by Q. We knew what was going on. Approval required for each action. No, they used the act that Congress passed to go after terrorism, so didn't need approval. Facts, not fiction. Blind sheep follow. Eyes on target. Now, Q has been telling us about this for quite a while. Let's go back to post 1306 for a second. Back then, this is April 30th, 2018. Define the terms of Iran nuclear deal. Does the agreement define and confine case and desist pro to the Republic of Iran? What if Iran created a classified satellite nuclear facility in northern Syria? What if the program never ceased? What other bad actors are possibly involved? Did the U.S. know? Where did the cash payments go? How many planes delivered? Did all planes land in same location? Where did the uranium-1 material end up? Is this material traceable? Absolutely. Define cover. What if the uranium-1 material ended up in Syria? What would be the primary purpose? Sum of all fears. Why did we strike Syria? Why did we really strike Syria? We hit Syria when Trump was president to destroy the deep state operation with the uranium-1 and everything else. Think about what Q is saying here, and we went over this before, but Obama supplied uranium to Iran and Syria and North Korea. This is how these countries were able to build nuclear weapons. They were helping them out. Remember, the missile strikes in Syria took the deep state out. It wasn't going after Assad. I mean, the bases were cleared out. Russia was warned ahead of time. The bombings were at the deep state. Remember, all of this that we're seeing, this was their plan, their 16-year plan to bring America to its knees, to get rid of the people's rights. This was their plan. Now, if we go back to Hillary Clinton, you can see she is kind of making a threat. And remember, Q has told us the deep state, they're staying in power to try to cover up what's going to happen here. And that is going to happen on D-Day. So they're there waiting to pull the next event to try to cover up what is going on. But guess what? The Patriots are in full control. Nothing can stop what's coming. Nothing. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.